Boebert is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Director Levins, as director of the NPRC, how many unanswered requests do you currently have?
As of yesterday, there were 338,000 unanswered requests, of which 265,000 are considered backlogged.
And how many unanswered requests are too many?
We service about 30,000 a week, and generally speaking, prior to the pandemic, our customer service standard we were trying to achieve was 10-day turnaround time, so more than 60,000 would be too many to serve in 10 days or less.
So I know for a fact that my congressional office has contacted the NPRC multiple times to help veterans obtain a copy of their records to verify eligibility and receive their benefits. We saw the backlog of requests skyrocketed to over 600,000, and this is often times too late for a veteran to receive life-saving care because bureaucrats were refusing to show up for work. So I see that that number is about half now, but are your employees back at work full-time?
Yes.
In person?
Yes, since March of 2022.
March of 2022. And from what I understand, the backlog has decreased significantly after the NPRC returned to in-person work after multiple requests from Congress to do exactly that. You said you came back to work in 2022. Everyone came back in person. Why did that take so long?
So I want to be clear, first of all, we never closed entirely. We always maintained a skeletal crew there to make sure we handled the most urgent requests, such as those involving funerals, medical emergencies, homeless veterans seeking shelter. Throughout the pandemic, as local health conditions improved, we were able to bring additional people into the building. We worked with the National Institute of Occupational Safety and Health to review our building blueprints, our HVAC systems, and inform our leadership on what the safe amount of occupancy in the building was. But we at the time, our records were analog, not digital. We were not able to work remotely. We've made a lot of changes since then.
Agencies are transitioning away from paper records, but NPRC still stores millions of records in 2 facilities in St. Louis. When a veteran or former civilian employee needs a copy of their records, often to verify these eligibilities for benefits and whatnot, the NPRC staff has to pull and file those and process the requests. So it's clearly impossible to do that remotely. So that would explain why your backlog reached 600,000. I am happy to hear that it's down, but I think there's still a lot of work to do because this is certainly impacting my constituents back home. Deputy Commissioner Poist, how did the SSA's transition to exclusively remote customer service during COVID negatively impact elderly citizens who previously relied on in-person service?
Thank you for that question. So in the early days of the pandemic, we definitely recognized some challenges that we experienced as we transitioned from that in-person service to mostly telephone and internet service in the early days of the pandemic. I think once we were able to kind of, I call it, find our footing, I think service did improve to the American public. We did experience also some challenges with our 800 number. I think we've since kind of overcome those challenges. We see a stable system today, and we are hoping to implement our new next generation telephony project system by the end of this fiscal year.
Can the SSA expedite disability determinations for applicants who don't have over 200 days to receive the benefits that they are entitled to?
We'll have to take that one back for the record. I'll have to get our operational experts to weigh in on that one.
Thank you. Assistant Secretary Bitter, if your family had planned a trip and they needed their passports, they needed them issued, renewed, would you prefer to have your appointment before or after the trip is scheduled?
Thank you for the question. We publish our service standards widely so that people don't have to make that choice, so that they can renew their passport. It's before they make their plans?
So in my district, due to the backlog of the Department of State, several of my constituents and their families did not receive their passports on time. And when they requested appointments, they were scheduled for after their trips. This certainly has caused many families to have to cancel their trips, whether that's for pleasure or something serious. And this is an issue that comes up in all of our offices regularly. And so we would love to work with you to expedite all of these services that are provided and that are represented here today.
We would love to work with your constituent services staff.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Mr. Chairman, I yield.
Joan yields back her time. Thank you very much. The gentleman from Florida